Okay. All right. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to our regular public council meeting for Monday, April 1st, 2024, here in the town of Torre Bay. First of all, new business. Councillor Tepper.
Condolence.
Councillor Manning.
I'll pass.
Councillor Pollard.
Pass.
Councillor Epley.
Thank you and well wishes.
What?
Thank you and well wishes.
Okay.
Thanks.
I thought you were calling me something. Okay.
Sorry, Mayor.
Thanks. Councillor Goss.
I guess we want well wishes as well.
Okay. Deputy Mayor.
Condolences and congrats.
Okay, just got it, thanks. All right, also there's a couple of motions here I want to add to the agenda before we start. One is for in corporate services, is a donation request, and the other is a public works motion for the crosswalk lights town office project. Can we just make a note that those are added? And can I get a motion to adopt the agenda as amended, please?
So, second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, carried, thank you very much. Before we start, I also want to welcome David Pine, our new Director of Corporate Services, to his first council meeting. He's only been here a few days, but welcome, David, looking forward to working with you. And that's it. Okay, we got a set of public council minutes here for March 19th, 2024. Could I get a motion to adopt those, please?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, errors or omissions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried, thank you. Conflict of interest, Julia sent out the thing here. There's one for 858 Torbay Road, 20 Fields Lane, and Torquay Place Extension. So if one of those things or any other issue comes up that you're in a conflict, please make note of it at the time when it arises. Proclamations, presentations, Q&A. First one on the list is a proclamation for World Autism Day. Deputy Mayor.
Okay, Proclamation World Autism and Awareness Day, whereas World Autism Awareness Day was created by the United Nations General Assembly and is acknowledged annually on April 2nd. The Autism Society Newfoundland and Labrador, ASNL, continuously works to center autistic voices and support individuals and families, not only on April 2nd, but every day throughout the year. Whereas autism is a neurotype and part of the range of natural variation in human neurological development, human beings have a diverse range of neurotypes. This diversity in human neurotype is what we call neurodiversity. Neurodiversity is part of nature's normal biodiversity. The biodiversity ensures all species have healthy ecosystems in which to thrive. Autism is neurodevelopmental difference and may therefore be on a different development timeline. Autistics may avail of support in different areas at different times across their lifespan, whereas ASNL is a team of autistics and a complex that listen to, acts with, and advocates for the autistic community. ASNL evaluates autistic voice to shift the cultural understanding and social competence towards neurodiversity, affirming systems, processes, and understanding.
Now therefore be it resolved that I, Craig Scott, Mayor of the Town of Torbay, do hereby recognize April 2nd as World Autism Awareness Day, while committing to embrace neurodiversity today and every day throughout the year. I encourage all citizens to understand and embrace differences and needs of others, and to include everyone in activities and discussions. So moved.
Second.
Any comments?
Yeah, Mayor, if I could.
Go ahead.
I want to thank the Deputy Mayor for reading that out. And I wanted to just touch on inclusion again. I know in the last meeting you had talked about championing the bullying and harassment that we've had in the community. And, you know, I think sometimes people are targeted because they're different. And, you know, it's our differences that we all bring to the table that make us stronger. I mean, look at all of us around the table. You know, there's something different, something unique, and everybody comes with their gifts. Whatever gifts you have, you're born with, you bring them into your space. And I have friends who have children with autism, and you know, they come with us. We get together, we do different things. We have steak at the house. You know, their child is visiting with us at the same time. So inclusion is the important part of this conversation. And I just want to say thank you for reading this proclamation, making sure that we keep sending the messages that Torbay is a welcoming and inclusive community. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. The other comment, go ahead, Ryan.
I'd also like to speak. Myself and Deputy Mayor went to the International Women's Day breakfast at the that was put off by the Autism Society, I'm sorry. And the speaker was Andrea Callanan. There's a copy of her presentation in the package, and it's well worth a read because I'm not going to go into exactly what she said, but her presentation was very informative for me personally too, because I've never attended anything like that, and I haven't been in an environment where I really had to deal with any different, or autism is not in our family at this point. So to me, it was very enlightening, and I would suggest to all the residents, if they get the opportunity, to pop it open and just have a read, because her approach was, I don't know if entertaining is the right word, but it was lighthearted on some sides, but it gave a lot of information to me personally. So it was a really good event, and I'm very happy that I attended it with the Deputy Mayor. I'd have no hesitation popping back.
I'd just like to make another comment. This is the first time that a resolution like this proclamation has been read out. This is their first time in doing something like this, and they're really trying or looking at working with M&L to get other communities to do the same. So that's why I thought it was really good that they passed this down. But again, like, we're talking about inclusion, and sometimes I know that in the past, when I've been involved in some of this, and you can look at what the report that we just done and policy that we have. And I've been speaking with the Director of Community Services, Recreation Community Services. There's a couple of people out there, and this lady really emphasized, if you want to know what autism is about, there's no better person to ask than to go to somebody that has it. Same thing with people in wheelchairs, same thing with people with any kind of a disability that we're looking at about including. So, I mean, they're open for that. And I think that as we move along, even with our programs for the summer, it'll be really good to engage some of the people that we're after meeting over the past year, really, that we've come in contact with that have disabilities and that want to be, and what we're trying to include in the community. It's a great opportunity, actually, to go there and to hear the presentation and to see what angle that they're coming from. Actually, I thought somebody was going to be here tonight to speak to it, but yeah.
Okay, all right. Any other comment? Go ahead, Tony.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, I read through the presentation that they were actually, and it was an eye-opener for me, and I know folks who have children with autism, I know some autistic people, but this really, and I recommend everybody read it. It just you almost put yourself in the shoes and greater understanding what's there. Like she talks about feeling the carpet under her feet, and she's in a bar setting, and all the different noises, and how astute she picks them up, everything, right? So differently than we would in a normal setting, and it was a real eye opener to me anyway. So certainly thanks to her for providing that information and certainly, you know, opening the eyes on autism and the issues that autistic folks do face.
All right, thank you. So I'll just finish it up. The Autism Society does some great work in Newfoundland and Labrador. Last year I was had the opportunity to go to their charity auction and into Glendenning Golf Course. So keep an eye out for that if you want to go this year. They had they had great entertainment in there. It was a great night and a great way to help them raise funds for the things that they do. So keep an eye out for that. If I see it coming along my email, I'll let you know about it. Okay, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. Thank you very much. Proclamation for Green Shirt Day, Councillor Appleby.
Thank you, Mayor. All right, Green Shirt Day. Whereas the devastating events of the Humboldt Broncos bus crash that took the lives of 16 passengers, Humboldt Broncos defenseman Logan Boulay succumbed to his injuries April 7th. And whereas Logan's parents, Bernadine and Toby Boulay, offered to donate his organs so that 6 lives could live on. And whereas Logan had registered as an organ donor after being inspired by his coach and mentor, Rick Suggett, who was also an organ donor and saved 6 lives when he passed in 2017. And whereas as news spread of the organ donation by this young hockey player, it is estimated that almost 150,000 people registered to become organ donors in the days and weeks that followed. To date, this is the largest number of Canadians registering to become organ donors in Canadian history due to one event. And whereas Green Shirt Day was created to honor, remember, and recognize all the victims and families of the fatal crash, and to continue Logan's legacy by inspiring Canadians to talk to their families and register as organ donors.
Therefore, I, Craig Scott, Mayor of the Town of Torbay, do hereby proclaim April 7, 2024 as Green Shirt Day in Torbay. And I encourage all citizens to wear green, register their decision to become an organ and tissue donors, and share their decision with their family. Dated this first day of April 2024, so moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Comments?
Thanks, Mayor. You know, as a hockey mom, my heart breaks for the families that were impacted by that terrible bus crash. And just wanting to note that, you know, organ donors, being an organ donor is an opportunity to save someone's life. And for me in particular, when my dad was sick, he needed a kidney, he needed an organ. He didn't live long enough to be able to take advantage of it. But had one been available, it could have been, you know, and it is for many people a matter of life and death. So this is substantial, 150,000 people impacted by the action of one young person is just incredible. And it's a great story to share in the community, and it's a great story to share with all of our, you know, young athletes who are out and involved in what they're doing. But, you know, it's a somber moment. I've got friends who've got children all over this country who are on buses, you know, going from one hockey tournament to the other. Hits home when you're reading a proclamation like this. So thanks for the opportunity. I appreciate it.
Welcome. Any other comment? I will say, I just want to highlight the last sentence here. So if you do become an organ donor, make sure that you share your decision with your family. Because if you don't, and they don't know, if something happens and you're incapacitated and you can't speak for yourself, obviously, that decision will rest with them. So you want to make sure that they know exactly what it is that your intentions are. All right, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. One more proclamation. Volunteer Week 2024. Councillor Tepper.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Okay, every moment matters. Volunteer Week 2024 proclamation. Whereas the town of Torbay recognized the enormous contribution that volunteers and community organizations make to the social, cultural, and economic development of our province. And whereas it has been recognized that volunteers in Newfoundland and Labrador have a significant and positive impact on the quality of life for our citizens. And whereas the town of Torbay acknowledges the theme, Every Moment Matters, for Volunteer Week 2024, and recognizes the many people who contribute to our town for volunteering.
Therefore, we sign this proclamation and declare the period from April 14th to 20th in 2024 be observed as Volunteer Week in the town of Torbay. So moved.
Second?
Who did second it? Comments? Right.
Yeah, no, I've been a volunteer all my life, and I find it, everything I do, I get great pleasure out of it. No matter what I got involved with over the years, and they go back a few years and more, I was involved with sports, at work, union work, whatever, was volunteer work. I enjoyed working with people, especially youth and seniors. I'm involved now with a group of musicians. We play for seniors. We got 4 homes that we rotate through each month. And again, with the faces that we leave in those homes, they're as happy as can be. And again, it just makes it so worthwhile. So whatever it is, and in Torbay, we've looked upon our people to help out and volunteer on every level. And we've got great cooperation, and hopefully we're going to see more volunteers come forward in the years to come.
All right, thank you. Any other comment? Go ahead, Ward.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. As Councillor Tapper just said, I think when you're volunteering, I think it starts out as either wanting to make a difference, or that you really want to be involved in something that inspires you, or you want to make that difference too. And I think we have to reach out and give our appreciation to volunteers, because no matter what it's in, whether it's for seniors, whether it's for minor hockey, whether it's for ball hockey, whatever, we need to show that sincere appreciation for those people that step up and do that, because we could not run anything pretty well in this community or in the world for it without volunteers. And I just wanted to say how much I appreciate them.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, from here.
I'd just like to thank all of the volunteers that we have in the community and the different organizations. Without the volunteers, I mean, there would be little that would actually happen by taking ownership. And when volunteers get involved, they end up taking ownership. And to me, it drives the success of no matter what event or what we do in the community. So I know from being involved with the town and with the church, there's, countless number of people that are out there. And I just personally want to thank all volunteers that are involved. And I think we really, as a town, need to really support. And if we have somebody new to the community or people that have been here all their lives, puts their name forward to volunteer, we should make every effort possible to include those people and make sure that they gets the opportunity to volunteer. That's the only way we're going to get them to engage. So thanks once again to all of our volunteers.
Absolutely.
Thanks,
Councillor
Mayor. Yeah, if I could. I wanted to echo Deputy Mayor's comments about the thank you. Volunteers are critical. That's what makes the community function, absolutely. And people volunteer in all kinds of different ways. But I think it's really important, and what I wanted to add was to make sure people know to ask volunteers. Because volunteers don't always go, hey, I think that's something for me, or that's even something I could do. Unless somebody comes and asks, then they might not see themselves in that space. And if someone says no the first time, it might not be the right timing, or they might not have the capacity. But if you ask the second time or the third, it might just be. And that's exactly to Mary's point. That community feeling, that vibe of wanting to be a part of the community and building on that, absolutely comes from there. So I think that's really important. That's how I ended up in this seat. The deputy mayor asked me first if I would be interested in council. And at that time, I wasn't in a position that I could do anything about it. And then the second time I was asked by one fine mayor, I went, yeah, you know what? This timing might be just right. And it's been some of the best experiences that I've ever had serving at this table. So I think it's really important to continue to make sure that we ask people and let them know that there's a space for them, even if they're not sure if they see themselves in that space at all. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comment? Go ahead, Tony.
I just want to say, what everybody, other councillors said here, I'm not going to repeat in terms of thanks and things of that nature, but I think the town needs to ensure that we do everything we can to support volunteers and make sure the resources are in place and monetary and physical and equipment and things of that nature as best we can to make sure that everything's a success and volunteers are rewarded.
Councillor Manning, you might as well have, say, turn your mic on.
You sure you want it on? As every single person around here and in this room has said, has thought, you couldn't have anything without volunteers. Any of the programs from the youth on up to the elders, and did it when we were in school, our kids were in school, and continued on with softball for me and things with the girls and all that. So without the volunteers, absolutely, there wouldn't be as much on the go. And as Councillor Appleby said, not to forget to approach some on times people, because, you know, we know who might be interested or who might not. And just the ask is probably just all that's needed on times. And each and every one of them, you can see when you're at a function, they get pure enjoyment from being there. They're not there because they have to be. So once again, thank you.
Okay.
Wow.
I would just highlight a couple of things. Our Torbay Volunteer Fire Department, huge part of our community. 50 years celebrating this year since the start. Those people, what they do, the training, everything that they do to protect our community and the town of Flat Rock, and if necessary, Pooch Cove and Portugal, St. Phillips too, if we have to in Ballyne. So that's one. I want to thank the volunteers that were at breakfast with Easter Bunny this past weekend. You know, it's a lot of fun, for one thing, and to be able to give back to your community. And I would just stress a couple of things, is that we, as members of council, had to be cognizant of that when we ask people to volunteer and there's an event going on, that we need to make every effort to be able to be there with them alongside and volunteering as well, because it's no good of us just asking and then pass the reins over to someone else. We had to be there. I cooked so many pancakes and sausages and bacon on Saturday or Sunday. I think it was smelling like 3 days. I smelled like breakfast for 3 days. But yeah, it is. And I encourage everybody, when we have our volunteer appreciation night, come out and meet the volunteers that are helping out in our community, and just go up to them and say thank you, because they are important. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you very much. It took a while to get through these proclamations this evening, but 3 of them were very important. And I'm glad that council had an opportunity to weigh in on them. We do have a presentation or a question, or Mr. Ryan?
Yes.
Floor is yours, buddy. You want to get up here?
Can I sit?
Okay,
We'll try.
you could, but I don't know that we want to make sure that it's on the record.
Okay, there you go.
Okay.
Okay, so I live on 35 Gallows Cove Road. For the past 5 years, every time it rains, my backyard goes underwater, gets flooded. Several occasions there was enough water to overwhelm the septic system, so you could just smell sewage coming up. And that happens quite often, actually. The water comes down across my next door neighbor and across a road above him. That road goes into a new cul-de-sac that's being built there. Previous to the cul-de-sac being built, there was a stream there. And the stream comes out on the lower end of my property. That's not the problem. The problem is the stream never had a culvert. They just put boulders in the stream and then backfilled on top of the boulders as they worked their way up, filling the property. So now it's, I guess I'd assume the boulders or whatever are becoming full with silt, debris, whatever else. So whenever it rains, it backs up. It can't handle the extra volume of water. So
All right.
that's the nuts and bolts of it. But
Okay, so thank you. I did get your email, but you emailed me about a month ago, I guess, about this. Was it you were gonna come to our last meeting, but you didn't?
Yeah, I was talking to somebody who said they were gonna go by and talk to another, have Plan B or whatever, and I never heard back from the
Okay.
person, so I just figured I better come in.
So when I saw your email today, I did follow up with our staff from Public Works and Planning to find out a little bit of background about it, because I didn't really know that much about it. I do know that at the time that some of that backfilling was happening in that area, and that area in general, I know there was up on the corner of Morris Avenue, and there was some backfilling getting done. That was the time when we created our backfilling regulations, so people had to get permits to be able to backfill. So I do know that the planning department are looking at this, and they're gonna be talking about it at the committee, next committee meeting, Julia? To see about how can we go about rectifying that situation. I know that it's not your fault, you were there and now the water's running on top of you, right? That's the issue that you're having, your septic is getting washed out. So they're gonna tape next week at the planning meeting? Sure you can, yeah, if you want, please. Julie is our director of planning.
Yep. We spoke probably about 10 days ago, and since then I did speak with ServiceNL and also Water Resources, and did quite the substantial file review on this matter that really dates back all the way to 2010. So it's a long standing issue that there is, and there's multiple factors that play into it. So again, as per mayor, we'll table it with the planning committee next week. That's Wednesday, April 10th, and then we can provide you with an update. Okay.
So I've been hearing this for the past 5 years, so
Right.
it's gonna be the same, just passed on down the road kind of thing?
Well, I mean, our staff has to look at it and make a recommendation to council before we can make any decision on anything.
Yeah, the staff, it's been 5 years.
Right.
How long does it take? I can smell sewage. I put in a brand-new basement apartment 2 years ago. There's no backup valve, what do they call them? Backwater valves on the system because they're not under pressure or anything, right? So anytime at all, the sewer is going to be overwhelmed back into my apartment.
Right.
So everybody says, well, your insurance will pay for it. Okay, so where do I live in the meantime?
No,
This is 5 years. Come
I
on,
under-
please.
I
That's
understand
all
your
I'm
frustra-
asking.
I understand your frustration, but we can't make a decision on.
Not right here, no, but
No.
I'd like to know if there's going to be one made, that's
Right.
all.
So on April, next week, the committee is going, and I don't know if the committee met and discussed this one yet? Or has it just been an operational issue that we've been trying to deal with?
There was some previous discussion on this in, I believe, 2022, but this is kind of additional information where we need to determine what the next action will be. So we did issue a notice some time back, so the next step is the question. There's been, so that's what we need to discuss. Okay.
So after the committee meets on the 10th of April,
So it's April 10th.
April 10th?
Yeah.
Then we should be able to provide you with some kind of update?
Yes, definitely, yeah.
So, okay, there was never a permit issued to do the work there.
Why?
I'm just saying what I pretty well know, right? Okay. So if there would have been a permit issued at the time, there would have been an inspection done, and it would have been caught that there was no culvert installed. So, you know, where did it get lost? You know, they did our street last year, beautiful job. You know, did the subgrade, put in new culverts, new asphalt, beautiful, excellent job.
Right.
So where did this go? That's all. You got to understand my frustrations. That's why I'm keeping on going here, okay?
No, listen, I
And it's
understand.
been too long. It's been too long. Every time I see it rain, I freak. I just go nuts. So don't beat myself up or anything, but this is crazy.
So
Stressful enough, right?
Let us meet out next week, and let us try and come up with some kind of solution. All right? I understand that it's been.
I'd like to hear from somebody,
Right.
but it's always, no, we can't do anything about it. I don't know why. The provincial government doesn't want anything to do with it either. They say it's your responsibility.
The town's responsibility?
Yes.
Okay.
And they don't want anything to do with it. So I don't know why, because it is a waterway. There could be trout living in this stream. It's a beautiful little stream, but
Right.
That's-
Julie, you were talking to Water Resources? And who else?
Yeah, I talked to Water Resources and to Service NL. So Service NL can't really do anything because it will just come back to you to fix your own system. So obviously that's not a solution right now. And I
yeah,
did
my
speak.
system's not in problem. My system's fine for now.
Right, but I did contact them because you were, I was wondering if anything under their regulations or act would permit them to act on this also.
Okay.
I did
sorry.
also contact Water Resources. Their initial response was similar to what you had mentioned, that they don't really follow up on something that was started like 10 years ago or something. But I did reiterate the question around the Water Resources Act and if there's anything within their act that would prompt them to act on it if a stream is blocked, right? So they did agree to me forwarding them information, which I did. The big thing really is that this has been kind of an ongoing matter since 2010, and fill was placed in 2010 and in 2015, in most cases all without permit. So there was no supervision by the town because the work proceeded. In 2015 there was permission granted, but by the time it was moving towards permitting stage, the work had already been completed. So it was always kind of work gets completed without permit, and now we're finding ourselves in the situation that is really a difficult one to resolve. But there are solutions, but it's not going to be a quick fix. That's the only thing I'm going to tell you right now. It's going to take time. Yeah.
But do we agree, anybody besides me, that the work wasn't done properly?
Well, the
And
work
that's
was
my
done
problem.
without permit, so
Pardon
we
me?
fully agree with you. Yeah.
There was no culvert.
Well, that I don't, that's before my time. But we did do a site inspection, and
Yeah, that's
we
been
couldn't
done twice.
find an inlet or an outlet.
Yeah,
So-
couldn't find a culvert. Sorry,
Yeah.
I keep cutting you off, sorry about
No,
that.
that's good. Yeah.
But they didn't see any culvert, so
No.
they're, okay.
Okay. So,
Mayor, could I make a comment?
I'd rather if you didn't, but you can if you, go ahead, sure.
No, I'm just, I'm on the planning committee.
Oh, okay, from the
And-
planning committee standpoint, go ahead.
Yeah, and I'll contact you. I want to go down and have a site visit, have a chat with you and see. I'm not sure if Tony is available. He's also on the committee. But we'll have a look and see, because I was around actually, and I was actually mayor during that period talked about. And again, I knew there was activity down there, but as far as having a permit approved for that, we never did. I can't recall anyway ever seeing one.
No,
So
there's no
anyway,
permit.
that's no. So that's what I'll I'm willing to go down, have a chat with you, and look at the area. I live in that area myself, actually.
It's beautiful down there.
It is.
It's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah.
That's why I'm there. I love it there.
Yeah.
Except for that.
Good. Yeah.
So, but sorry. It's been looked at least 3 times, so
Yeah.
you don't, you're not gonna be surprising yourself or anything if you go down. You can't get down there anyway. I wouldn't want you to go down there. You're gonna hurt yourself. I can barely get down there, so,
Yeah. Yeah, I'll have a look anyway.
so, but
We'll
it's,
go as far as we can.
okay.
Thank you.
All right, well, I'd like to have some sort of answer or something, I'm kind of figuring it's gonna be a negative, but I'd like to hear something, somebody's working on it at least. The past few years, it's just same day, can't do anything for you, and it's the same day.
Yeah.
Or the next morning, they're kind of afraid to phone me back or let me know, but it's usually the same day, we can't do anything for you as they're getting in the truck, right, so. But I don't understand why, but anyway.
So Councillor Tapper and Councillor Pollard are on the planning committee, and they're gonna get a chance to go down before your meeting, I guess.
Oh, yes, yeah.
They'll get a chance to go down before the meeting. They'll
Okay.
have their eyes on what it is, and then they can have a discussion with Julia.
Well, if you want to look at both ends of it, it's quite the ways to get down on the outfall, right? So gonna have to give me a call so I can go down with you,
Oh, yes.
you know, and,
Julie has your number.
yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
All
Thank
right,
you for your
thank you.
time.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Now, you don't have to hang around for the rest of the meeting if you don't want to.
I think he's going to the door.
All right, thank you.
Right.
All right. Oh, we're up to. All right, mayor's report. I'll be quick. April birthdays. Jordan Cross, April 2nd, Infrastructure and Public Works. Danny Kavanagh, April 7th, Infrastructure and Public Works. Sydney Mills, April 8th, Torbay History House and Museum. Brian Windsor, April 17th, Infrastructure and Public Works. And Councillor Tony Pollard, April 29th. And
Big party that night.
happy 75th birthday to the province of Newfoundland and Labrador. Today, April Fool. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but I've been a Canadian all my life, and I guess I probably will be for the rest of it. What else was I going to talk about? All right, so I just want to touch briefly on our regional mayors and deputy mayor meeting that we had last week. So, town of Pooch Cove hosted us. We had a good meeting. I did bring up, as Councillor Atby alluded to earlier, my idea I presented to the rest of the people that were there, that I would like to start or look at starting or doing a regional Killy Coast Mayor's Task Force on bullying. And they were very receptive to the idea. I think that I told them, really, I don't know where to go. We're gonna have to look to our staff to try and help us out with this and have a look. I think I might be able to secure some funding. I've been talking to a potential funder about getting some money to be able to put into this. Look, everybody knows that bullying is a problem. It's huge. And throwing a pink shirt on for one day a year and talking about it is one thing. But I think that as a municipality, as a town, as our region, where we have 5 schools now, or 6, and soon to be 7 when Portrait Costa Phillips gets a new high school, it's a huge problem within the school system. We know that. So I think that I believe I got buy-in from the other towns. Flarick wasn't there, but I'm sure that that their council will be on board. And try and figure out where we go from there. And first thing I think that we need to do is just come up with a plan about who we want to have involved, get them together, have a meeting, figure out the next step, and ultimately, I think that if we can get some funding for this or throw some money behind it, I would like to see us have some resources that we can distribute to combat bullying, and a place where people can, I guess, reach out to our municipalities. I'm trying to remember what it was, how I termed that, like a support group, for instance, for parents and children that are dealing with bullying. And I think that initially, and like I said, I don't really know how to go about this. I just know I have an idea, and I think it's a good one, and people seem to agree. But we start with children first, because bullying is in all aspects of our society, particularly with seniors too. But there are other seniors resources out there to try and help with that, I think, from what I've researched. And so that's where we're to with that. I'm hoping I did send an email back to the towns and thank them for their support and their buy-in to that. And let's see where we go. I'll talk to Sandy and we'll see what staff resources we need to put in to do a little bit of research, figure out our best approach going forward, and hopefully we can do something that will have an impact in our community and our surrounding communities. Great.
Mayor, that's exactly what Councillor Manning and I are talking about at the Community Services and Recreation Committee. We had a conversation with our director about that, and in line with exactly what you're talking about, that's the kind of thing that we're doing, and we're asking Jen to lead in that space. So Jen has already reached out to the RNC, to their Community Services Division, to have a conversation with them. I spoke with Patty Daly last week, myself as an individual, not as a councillor, about the NLTA program that they had launched that's not okay. And based on what they had tipped in the information that they had, they've launched a full-on, campaign to talk about what's happening in the school systems. But you're absolutely right, this is a community issue, and I think there's absolutely a leadership role for us as a council here. So one of the things that they have at the RNC, it's called Students Taking Responsibility in Violence Education. It's called Strive. So like the DARE program, I think that there may be an opportunity there for some resources to be applied. It's certainly something that I understand from the RNC, where they can come in and speak to the school, but maybe in partnership with the town, maybe they can come down to a public session. So one of the things when the moms talked about, as I was listening to Open Line, was her child and how they'd been bullied, so they put the child in martial arts. But the thing is, parents who are trying to help their children in this situation are saying, okay, if a kid hits you, then stand up for yourself. The fact of the matter is, after you're 12 years old, if someone hits you and you hit them back, even in self-defense, you can be charged for that. Families don't understand that as you're trying to coach your kid to be safe, they're actually causing a situation where your child could end up being charged, and have a criminal history in your personal life. It's no good. So this is a critical conversation. It's really important, and sometimes people don't understand what their actions are and how they're impacting others and what harm that can be. So I think that's something we want to talk about. And I think that the other thing I'd like to mention is that I know the town of Torbay has been in conversation, the Lions, Torbay Lions have been in conversation with us about Lions Quest. And I know that we've actually got a conversation with the Department of Community Services and Recreation, whereby we were looking at training our student staff to do some of the Lions Quest training. And I think it's really important because maybe that's something else that we can work with the Lions in partnership with, where maybe we can offer some of these seminars here in the town of Torbay in partnership with them and train summer staff, provide resources for that, or train people in the community, other volunteers, talk about how they can take advantage of programming that they have. It's international training that exists, it's already there. So is there some way that we can partner with community partners that we have here to work on that? So in line with the work that you're doing at the Killick Coast region, I think it's really timely and it fits in really well, because the conversations that we're having at committee right now is asking Jen as director to frame that up and what can we do, and then based on that, maybe the recommendations can come from there to you, and then maybe you can share them back with the mayors and deputy mayors and say, listen, here's what we're learning, here's what's going on. So just to share into the conversation of staff resource time and what we're doing. And I think it's really important to talk about who's at the tables to have these conversations, because I know I've been in conversations with our MHA about, what resources can be applied for some of these things. And I know Jody's really interested. So if there's provincial money that can be found, or, other sources of money, it's definitely worth a coordinated conversation. So thank you for bringing this forward. Thank you for leading in this space, and looking forward to hopefully being a part of creating a solution. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Any other question?
I just want to ask a question there with regards to the minutes of the Pauline, and I went back to the mayor of Portugal St. Philip's asking for a copy, because I think that they should be added to our minutes as well.
Yeah.
So I don't know if because
They
the
sent
other
them
night
out.
where I missed it,
They sent them out with an email.
I only saw the agenda. I didn't see a copy of the minutes, so we could get them forwarded then and ask Carol for a copy of the last minutes, because we never got them, right?
Yeah, okay.
Please.
I'll make a note of that. Okay, all right.
Thanks.
Business arising report. Something to go with that? Anybody got any items on there they want to talk about?
I'd like to add one item to it, if we can keep it as a standing item, and that's the correspondence with our MP on the water issue.
Yeah.
And I've seen that CAO Thompson has gotten some information or stayed in touch with Jordan, who is the bureaucrat, I guess, in the system. But as we don't meet every 2 weeks, it'd be nice to have this as an item at least. We know what's front and center every time it comes forward, so we can have it on business arising until the issue is finally resolved, so we know, and we keep the pressure on, at least in the public chambers.
There's two issues there, Tony. One is our conversation with the MP around our water supply, Great Pond. And the other one that I think that we need to put in here now, that is the issue around water testing that's going on up in Pine Ridge.
I've been speaking with all of those individuals.
Right, so there's residents that have been contacting me throughout the week, asking about the testing that's going on. And I've been obviously deferring to Sandy for any details, because he's in contact with Transport Canada on that.
Yeah.
So, one thing I will say though, that now that testing has been conducted and the information will be coming back for those residents that live out there, once we get that information, we're going to try and set up a meeting with those particular residents out there, with somebody from MP Thompson's office, with the MHA, and hopefully somebody from Transport Canada
Definitely someone to
to
choose.
come here and provide some answers to those residents up there. It's not really my place or our place to provide them with particular information, simply because it's not our information to give. And the Transport Canada are the ones that are responsible, so they need to be the ones there to provide answers.
Absolutely.
So, I think I've heard from 3 or 4.
Three I've been speaking with.
3
yeah.
residents, definitely, right, so.
And Your Worship, could I just add one more thing to that? The
Can.
interesting sidebar to it, I suppose, was through the Housing Accelerator Fund, where both Mount Pearl and St. John's had these big splashes saying they got approved for so many houses, 300 or 400 houses. And yet we've been trying for years to get on the regional system, and not one person from a higher level of government has come forward and said, how come Torbay can't get on the regional system? Yeah, we can add 400 homes in Mount Pearl or 400 homes in St. John's over a 3-year period. And we're asked for the same thing. We can't get there because the growth factor is not there. So obviously Torbay's interests are not factored into the regional water plan, but I think they damn well should be, so right?
All right, I agree. I agree with you totally. You know, it's really frustrating, and I tell everybody that every opportunity that I get. And we did have a good meeting with the representatives from Transport Canada there last week, and we'll continue to follow up with them and find out what the hell's going on in terms of water.
Can I ask a question about that?
Yep.
I know in the past, we've had conversations with Mayor Breen about this. Has there ever been an opportunity for the town of Torbay to present to the Board of Directors that looks after that water supply?
I asked for that, but it's really no point. The City of St. John's got 11 members on the board out of 15 or whatever it is, and the information that we got back last time from the city was that no, our answer was no, that we cannot get on there now, and in particular that the trunk line in Portrait Coast St. Phillips wasn't capable of handling the additional capacity. So, yes, I've spoken to every municipality that's on that board and talked to them about it, but ultimately the final decision comes down to the city.
Have we put anything in writing?
Yeah, we've
Ask.
requested,
Yeah.
for it.
Well, we have
And-
done that, but what I'm curious about is if we could make a presentation as well, because we've heard no every time we've asked, and we may hear no again, just like Mr. Ryan said in his presentation. But there's no harm in having an ask of getting on their meeting agenda, having someone from the town go down and talk to them about our water needs, and have it on record. I mean, if there's a presentation, if there's a deck, there's something then that's there that shows in black and white that we came and asked. At the end of the day, if they say no, well, so be it. But, you know, it's like when we were working on the water supply. How many times did we hear no before we finally got approval to get the water treatment system put in place?
Right.
So I think it might be worth our while to ask to get on the agenda, to make a presentation formally
Yeah.
about our concerns, because that's not a conversation with one or two, or a letter that gets filed. That's actually time, space, and presence that I think might be a sensible investment. If we hear a no at the end of it, so be it, but I think it's important to try.
We can do that. I'll
Put
ask
that in a
Sandy.
motion?
We don't need a motion for that. I'll ask Sandy to send an email or letter to the, which one is it that deals with that? It's the Regional Water Board, is it?
Yeah, I'm not
Yeah,
familiar
ask
with
to
it.
get on their agenda, if
Ask-
we could.
Ask, can we get on their agenda to request connection to the regional water supply?
Yeah, and it might not be today, it might not be tomorrow, but at some point, you know, the Great Pond water supply conversation is gonna work for a certain part of Torbay, but they're still coming down the main road of Torbay. There's no viable water opportunity that we're talking about coming down that way right now. And coming across the Nemeal line, that's another option. So I think it's worth exploring in a multi-pronged approach, but I think presentation, asking to get on their agenda is certainly important. Thanks.
To that point though, if we do bring on, if we are able to bring on Great Pond, that will sort of be enough with the combination with North Pond and a certain distribution system that we could pretty much service the whole town.
It gives us another 1,500 units,
No
but,
more than that.
but even if we do 1,500, 2,000, or whatever it might be, and I don't know the exact numbers, I haven't seen them in a while, but you're still looking at areas of our community that we still don't have water opportunities.
Right.
But St. John Regional, if we could lobby for that, might be able to fill in some of those gaps for growth and expansion.
Yep.
I'll contact them.
Thank you.
Your worship, can we ask staff to get the terms of reference for the regional water supply as well?
Sure.
Find out what exactly the function of that board is. That board may not have capability to allocate any water to any other towns other than just oversee the operations of what's already in place. So can we understand what exactly that regional board or that regional structure is?
Yeah.
And who has the final decision power at the end of the day?
And I have the regional water study in my office, Sandy. I'll give it to you after the meeting.
Yeah,
So you
okay,
can have a look
no
at it.
problem.
All right.
I just got another question that you just brought up, and you said last week you had a meeting with Transport Canada.
Yep.
Do we have minutes of that meeting?
Sandy took notes, right?
Yeah, with notes, the meeting was simply an introductory meeting to start the conversation.
Yeah.
So we basically put our case forward as to what our situation
But
is.
it's
and we're-
really important that we found out in the past of having any time you meet and who was there and what the next follow-up and what the intent was, just to have as a record.
Yeah, they're coming back
Because
to
we've gone,
us. Yeah.
yeah, but I mean, even that meeting, the date and who was in attendance and the reason for the meeting is really important, and to have that circulated,
Mm-hmm.
because that's something that in the past, we've missed out on a number of opportunities like that where different people went
All right.
and met, CAO and mayors or whatever, but it's good to have all of that. Because remember in the past where we
Right.
thought they were going to provide the minutes, but it never happened, so we were responsible for keeping our own
So Sandy.
and getting
you
it
can
circulated, yeah.
Do up a report for our meeting.
Yeah.
And we'll circulate it.
And
I can
anytime
I can
that
circulate
there's,
that by email through
Yeah.
our council.
yeah, no, that's good, thank you.
All right, thank you.
We should copy the MP and Jordan on the minutes as well, so that we're all in the same
Yeah.
circle.
Yeah.
If they have anything to say against it then.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
Sounds good. All righty. Correspondence. Sam newsletter number 41. It's the spring 2024 AGM will be April 19th to the 20th. Hosted by the town of Grand Falls, Windsor. It would be nice if we could send a representative to that. So take a look at that, see if you're available to be able to attend. Torbay has been a very good contributor and participant in SAM since it began, so it would be nice if we could continue that. All right, moving on. Committees of council. Committee of the whole meeting, privilege. Could I get, there's no motions in there, right? No, could I get a motion to adopt those minutes, please?
So moved,
Second.
All in favor?
aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Planning, land use, development, Councilor Pollard.
Thank you, Your Worship. We met on the 27th of March. The first item up is at 858B Torbay Road, it's a food production use. If everyone remembers attached to the post office building out there, there was a side part of that building that was going to be used for a powder coating business. And now someone wants to put a production in there of potato wedgies. So we didn't find any particular issue with that. So there's a motion here to conditionally approve application C 2024-0104 proposed food production use at 858B Torbay Road, Centre Unit, in accordance with regulations 33 and 90 and the CM land use zone table of Torbay Development Regulations 2015 to 2025, and that a conditional approval in principle be issued. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Comments?
Just one question. I have no problem with this, but there's been conversations about that intersection, that space there, and traffic issues. There was a big accident a couple of weeks ago, maybe, in that space. Is there any concern of traffic safety there that we should be thinking about looking at? And I don't know if we even have jurisdiction to do anything with it as a provincial road, but like, I don't know if there's any way to have it set up so there's like right turn only, or I don't know what that looks like, or even if we write a letter to the MHA and ask him like about what's going on in that space. But if we're going to be developing that space, which is, you know, something that I have no problem with, I think the safety of, you know, if we're going to have increased traffic, more development there, maybe that conversation needs to happen. And I think engaging our MHA in that discussion, where it is a provincial road, might be a good move. So just want to flag that one, if I could.
We did have the conversation around the entranceway at committee level, and for any potential future approvals of anything that backs onto or fronts onto, I guess, Torbay Road from a commercial perspective, trying to make sure that the egress and exit and entry points are a little wider. Right now it's a pretty sharp turn. You almost got to come to a complete stop to turn into the post office or you're coming into Torbay. And likewise, when you're going out, you're trying to go over, you're allowed to take the bottom out of your car because it's such a high curve in that there. So we did discuss that at committee, and we certainly will bring it up again to see if there's anything we may be able to do in that area.
Okay.
Can I make a comment just on that point? I had a closer look after that conversation, and if you're coming out of that parking lot, making a right-hand turn, and that was the problem, you'd veer left more than you know, just to make. But we looked at if there was more space there, but actually there's a very huge metal sign there that is very close to the parking lot as well. So I'm not sure what options we might have in you know, taking that approach anyway. So, but it is very well worth exploring, I think, further. So we'll try that.
If I might add, I go there quite a bit with recycling and such, and I do find when you do make that right turn, many times my back tire's gone over the curb there. So if it's something that we could bring up, maybe having a lower curb, that I know the metal sign is there, but at least people can make that turn.
Yeah.
That it's, you haven't got to run over something to get there. So if we flatten out and put something there as basically just a lower sidewalk there.
Okay. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
The second is an application for a single-family dwelling with subsidiary apartment in residential infill, and they're requesting a variance to go to a 27-meter frontage rather than the regular 30-meter frontage, and that's within regulation because it's a 10% variance. The committee didn't see any particular issue with it, so motion to conditionally approve application MV 2024-001/2024-007 for the development of a single dwelling with subsidiary apartment with a 10% variance to the frontage development standard at 20 Fields Lane in accordance with the regulations 11, 12, and 33 of the Torbay Development Regulations 2015 to 2025. The RI land use zone table, subject to standard conditions for home construction in Torbay, and that no further variance can be considered for this property. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Questions?
Sorry, Councillor Pollard, I did call you about these motions this afternoon, but I do have one more. I do have one more question. This is an infill approval, So I'm wondering, is this gonna have any impact on any of the outstanding conversations that we've been having about water allocations that are on North Pond already? Is there any implication here for us, any risk of approving this?
No, it's on-site service, on-site well and septic service.
There you go. That answers
Okay.
that question.
All right, I was thinking infill, it was hooked up, so, and I could have missed that, thank you. All right, I'm good.
Okay. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried.
Item number 3 is Jones Pond Amendment, rezoning from residential subdivision area to RLL. This extension of I'm familiar with where Torquay Road is off Marine Drive area, and the proponent has purchased the land and laid out a subdivision design. And it's been there for a while, and there's a number of houses that are being, I guess, there were construction development being held up on the whole area. So it was originally in the development scheme for the whole area. And after discussion amongst ourselves, we wanted to really take it out of our scheme area, because the scheme area is something, I guess, that the town would do themselves. We haven't been very good at putting scheme areas up in any meaningful, quick fashion, so that we can allow development to continue. So it has impact on all proponents who are in the area. So we're requesting that this area going to be spot developed or spot zoned, as will any of the other areas that proponents may come forward in the future to allow this. The important incorporation, I guess, of history into it is to keep the Jones Pond access, so right across from essentially Marine Drive to Torbay Road, from Jones Pond side of things. So that was the important identification of infrastructure that we need to keep in that area. So we're going to keep that in place with the town plan. So the recommendation number 1 is to proceed with the drafting of amendment documents and public notification process to accommodate a proposed mapping amendment to the lands in Jones Pond area from currently residential subdivision area to residential large lot zone as per proposed Jones Pond amendment to RSA to RLL map at cost of the proponent. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Motion 2, motion for town of Torbay to incorporate the key road and trail connections in the Jones Pond amendment area into the future land use and zoning maps as part of the municipal plan review, and to use the concept label preliminary development scheme concept dated 0801-24 prepared by May Design Limited as guidance. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Questions?
Just one. Is there any impact to the legal action that's happening down there with this motion, Councillor Pollard?
To what end? Sorry?
No, just
There's
because
there's nothing that's going to impact us legally unless somebody through a normal course of process wants to object or do anything. There's nothing, no.
Okay, no, just curious. Thank you.
This is far away from that
Yeah,
area.
yeah, I just want to make sure that,
Okay.
thanks.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Third part of this is motion for the town of Torbay to concurrently with the 2024 Jones Pond Amendment expand and strengthen the language in the town's engineering guidelines where development in proximity to wetlands and water bodies is being addressed. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Questions?
I just want to say thank you for this motion. This one's important. We've got some really important wetlands in this community, and protecting them is very important, especially when it comes to flooding and these environmental changes that we're experiencing. These natural, lands that we have, they protect us, and it's important to protect them. So I just want to make sure that I extend a thank you for the consideration of wetlands when we're looking at development. Thank you.
Just further that too, as you know, the report from Ducks Unlimited is in the final stages now, will be reviewed shortly in terms of identification of, we say, significant wetlands. There are other wetlands or areas that haven't been separately identified, and this motion will help us strengthen our handling of those situations as well when they're not identified as strictly conservative wetlands or conservation wetlands, and extremely important wetlands. This gives us greater flexibility, or will give us greater flexibility in terms of dealing with those smaller wetland areas as well.
Okay, can I ask one question or make one suggestion? As we go forward with this development, as it starts to develop, I guess, or whatever, the plans come forward, can we also stay in contact with the town of Lucky Bay, Middle Cove, Outer Cove? Because I saw that they have a development also proposed for the other side of the town. So that, because there could be an opportunity for us to partner with them, put a trail around that pond over there. Then we have 2 ponds with trails. And also, trails are a wonderful addition to subdivisions. And at the time, it's great if we can get the developers to put them in instead of the town going back afterwards and doing it as part of the green space agreement.
All the better.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
And the final one is to the 2024 permanent license for week ending March 28th, 2024 as tabled. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you very much. Oh, excuse me.
So that's my report, Your Worship.
All right.
I got a question on the minutes on property maintenance. And in here, I guess I've been through something not similar, but in a different way. And it says 1271 to 1275 about deficiencies noted. I got asked the question, have the landowners, when anything is like this is put in the minutes, has landowners already been contacted?
Yes, today.
Yes?
Yes.
So is there a number of those, or are those the only ones selected for property maintenance? Because I know, and again, I can't help from saying about signaling out anybody in particular, because if you're going to look at this and deficiencies noted, and I know potentially what it is, but I just hope that we're going to do all of Torbay and not identify 1 or 2 particular areas, and even if residents come in complaining about a particular structure, I firmly believe, and I don't think that it's right just to do it with those that have been identified like that. We need to make sure we've looked at the whole town. Because again, I go back to the O'Brien property, and I really got difficulty with the way that whole one was done. And even though it was a tax issue, but it was also a property maintenance issue when I was on the Planning and Development Committee. I want somebody to answer.
Yes, I think we'll need to feather out the process in terms of identification of deficient properties and how we handle moving forward. I'm not saying that is not being done now, because I really don't know, and I apologize for that. Maybe Julia can speak to where we stand in terms of that identification. But from a council perspective and from, the planning committee, planning and development committee, we feel that there should be some structured way to have a process moving forward of identifying deficient properties, and then corporate services, obviously properties for tax sale and things of that nature as well. There shouldn't be an intent to identify a particular person over another person if there's a bunch of deficiencies, but there is a process that has to go through as well, and that someone's got to be first out the mark. We can't, if we got 100,
Okay.
we've got 100 identifications with deficiencies, we can't put 100 out for action at the same time. There's got to be
Okay.
some type of sequence. But I agree, there should be a process whereby we have a list of deficient properties and a plan moving forward to do it, and not leave it for years and years. If this was on books for a couple of years ago, then there's something wrong with our internal process.
Okay,
in
to
terms of
follow up with this then, and what I see here with regards to a particular location identified and deficiencies noted. So for the next meeting, or not next meeting, tomorrow, whenever, if they haven't been selected, those couple, can I see the complete listing of everywhere in Torbay that there's deficiencies being noted, and how we're going to go about identifying those and bringing them forward? Because as a counselor, I don't know, and I could be one, and I could be looking at this and reading this and noticing that, my God, that's my property, nobody has come forward and told me about this before it goes out to the public. Because to me, some things are being worked on, but I don't think that all of it should become public knowledge. So again, I have to go back and ask, how come that one? Because again, it was only a year and a half ago I was on planning and development, and I know that particular one, not in my memory, was noted. So I guess the bottom line, how are we going about doing that, and what determines if there's deficiencies on the property?
I think you have a fair point in what should or should not be listed in public. In terms of properties, this particular property was already noted and contacted last year, so this was actually a second, like a follow-up on this matter. In general, I mean, the department is tasked with following up on complaints. If we see any development occurring without permit, we would contact those people. So, you know, there's never an intent to single anything out, but if anything comes to our attention, we will follow up.
Yeah, I know with development and permits, that's a different thing, but I just want to make sure that if we're going looking at delinquent properties and deficiencies, that there's a process in place and not because somebody is calling about it. So I'd like, again, to have a list of the people, of the identified properties as the deputy mayor.
Right, but
No, but,
I want to understand what you're talking about. There's no way to, in one lump sum, identify every delinquent property or deficient property that's in town. They come up as they come up.
no,
Right?
no,
Can
can't be done that way, sorry.
Okay,
I speak to that, please?
go ahead.
Thanks, Mayor. What I'm hearing the deputy mayor ask for is a procedure and policy that's equivalent to all residents on how this matter gets handled. And I think that's a fair ask. You know, what is a deficiency definition? If we have a part on our website that says, this is what a deficient property looks like, and these are things that we're looking for, because I'm sure there's a criteria that we have. And then if someone drives by and says, oh, I think that's a deficient property, you know, then the step 2 would be to phone the department and get someone to speak at the department. The department has, I'm very sure, a procedure that they're normally following. So what the deputy mayor is asking for is transparency on, once that goes in, if someone talks about this property, well, what does that transparent, you know, action look like? So, and it's fair because residents have a right to know if they make a call what that action will be. And then it's great for the staff because the staff go, oh, this is what we do, and it's laid out. And then if there are a list of, you know, designated delinquent properties, maybe there's a letter that the staff sends out, or there's a certain set of action items that they take, then people can know what they are, and then the department can have it there. So if you've reported the property, the staff have responded, and the process that they follow is there and it's done, then you could end up on a list that is either in the package or on the website or somewhere, but it's vetted through the process. And I think what I'm hearing the deputy mayor ask for is some framework around what that process is, and then to have something in place that's transparent so people understand, instead of seeing a number of property here, because someone might think that just showed up because someone reported it, but the director just said, no, actually, we've been in communication, you know, with this was an issue last year. So if that framework is in place that deputy mayor's asking for, then it gives that clarity, and everyone understands it's not this property or this individual being picked on. There's actually a process, and this is how it ends up here. So what I'm hearing from the director is they do that, and I'm hearing from the deputy mayor that she wants more information about understanding that, which I think is a fair ask. So that's what I'm hearing, and I think that's what she's asking for. Mary, am I in line
That's
with
one
what you're
part of it, I
thinking?
assume, but I don't know if that
But that's
is
what
the
I'd like to
case.
see as a
All right,
counselor.
okay.
But I just want a list of the properties
If I,
that could be done.
yeah, so if I
Yeah.
could request that as well as part of the ask, because I think that makes a lot of sense from transparency, accountability, and understanding how we're fair to everybody.
I have a question. I thought we adopted a policy about delinquent properties. Do we have one?
We have a set of regulations that specify the process, right? Like notice number 1, wait for 2 weeks, notice number 2, wait for 3 weeks, and then if there's still deficiencies and no action, it would be tabled with a committee with recommendation for an order. So it is spelled out, yeah, and
That's the notifications. I'm looking for what are deficiencies. And if we're going to do that, we need to go around and look at all deficiencies, not 1 or 2 people because somebody complained. I'm leaving it at that. I don't need to know what if, we've been dealing with this for a long time, so.
I get final say, do I?
Yes.
Thank you,
Could
Worship.
could I have a comment?
Walk us back.
Because I feel guilty in a way, because I think I started this conversation. I left council, and just before I did, the Northeast Times did an article with me on the front page with a delinquent property who was, you know, close to me family-wise. But anyway, that's how that started. And when I came back in this term, under business arising, it was number 1 on the list still. And that's when I brought it to the attention of planning. And I not only identified that property because it wasn't touched, it's still a mess, but I also identified 3 or 4 others. So that's how this whole issue started all over again, as far as I'm concerned, because I was so fed up. And I thanked the editor for doing that article. And it, you know, that property was front and center on the front page. So it was public knowledge. So I know where Deputy Mayor is going, but, you know, like you say, you cannot, you know, this is a big town. You gotta go around every street and somebody inspect or, you know, make a list of delinquent properties. So be it if we got staff to do it. But I just wanna let you know, that's where that conversation
I'm fully
arose.
aware.
And that property that you're referring to was one of them.
I'm fully aware,
Yeah. So I'm bringing it out front.
yeah, so,
Okay, all right, you already spoke to this once or twice or 3 times.
okay, I'll speak with it after the meeting.
You can speak it after.
I will.
Back to you, Tom.
I think I'm better. I think I'm forgetting what I was gonna go over. Quite honest with you. You know, we're talking ourselves around in circles here. Let's find out what exactly we're doing, what the process is, and what we have listed there at the present time. As for whether or not something rises to the top because someone complains about it, yes, something's gonna rise to the top because somebody complains about it. That's gonna be human nature, and that's the way towns are. In a perfect world, we'd be ahead of all this. We'd have the staff in place with no staff turnover, with the resources required to go out and identify all our delinquent properties and say, this is what we're gonna do with A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, right on down the line, and then move forward from there. But we're not in a perfect world, so let's find out what exactly we're doing, how we're handling it, and if it means we have to do a one-off. I understand the identification of a single property in public is probably unfair in terms of the way it identifies when others people are probably just as delinquent or more delinquent. But let's just find out where we are and let's move forward and see what we can do to improve the whole process. And everybody's on the same page, understanding, moving forward. And that's what we bring back to the committee and go on from there.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Now in my report, your worship, I think.
Oh, I got another one.
All right,
You wait till I'm in human resources is next. Oh.
admin and human resources, Deputy Mayor.
Oh my voice is gone. Oh, it's all really good. Okay, we had our meeting when, after going too far, on the 25th, and it's all good news. Director of Corporate Services, pleased to announce and welcome Mr. David Pine to the department, and also our accounts receivable. I'm pleased to announce the addition of Holly Walters, Corporate Services Department. Holly will commence employment on Monday the 8th as the Accounts Receivable Assessment and Procurement Administrator. And also, I'm pleased to announce the addition of Ray Clark in the role of Fire Prevention Officer, firefighter with the town of Torbay's volunteer firefighters, Torbay Volunteer Fire Department. And the other one, Capital Asset Management, they're all basically for information. It's just, there's nothing here that, no motion or anything else with anybody's in particular's name, unless I've missed something there. Councillor Manning?
No, you did a fabulous job.
Planning, and, oh yeah, they're looking for the summer student, the ambassador for planning and development ambassador. And the rest of it there, the policies and procedures. Now that the staffing has kind of been looked after, the director of HR is back looking at the other the other policies and that. One thing that I did have on there was congratulations, and it's in here as well, on retirement notification of Mr. Bud Tapper. And the town would like to announce the upcoming retirement of Bud Tapper from our infrastructure and public works, effective the 30th of April, after 17 years of dedicated service to the town. So it's another big loss after being around for a period of time. I think that's it.
Okay, any questions?
Just one. We were talking earlier about community safety and, training that's available for people around bullying and harassment, that sort of thing. I'm wondering if, we've got new members of staff joining. Maybe it's something that we do with our own staff. We were talking earlier about how the community service recreation, summer students, we were going to do some of the Lions Quest work and maybe looking at, bringing that programming and training in there. Maybe it's worth having a conversation at the HR and admin level around community safety, workplace safety, training of some sort. I mean, I don't know if Lions Quest is an appropriate one. I know that, I think it's the Red Cross have a program, No Harm or Do No Harm. I can't remember exactly what it's called right now, but there is an anti-bullying program they have. But I think, if we're going to lead in this space, which I'm very excited about, there may be some training at our staff level as well across the organization that we may want to have a conversation about to bring in, look at that as part of our onboarding package and also our current workplace wellness work that we do. So just wanted to flag that for director's consideration and committee's conversation to see if there's something that might make sense in that space.
So
Thank you.
Appleby, we kind of touched on that at our last meeting, believe it or not, and something that Councillor Manning was going to bring back to your committee on some training and that. So I
Yeah.
think we're on the same
Yeah.
same
Yeah.
page there, yeah.
All right,
Thanks.
thank you.
Okay.
Corporate services, Councillor Goss.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As the corporate services report from March 28th, payroll, regular payroll for 64 employees for the 2-week period ending March 27th, 2024, totaling $176,435.34. Account payable for the 2-week period ending March 27th, 2024, invoices in the amount of $100,815.67 were processed. The following 3 invoices are invoices totaling $60,936.98 are presented for approval. So moved.
Second.
Moved in second, question. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
We also have some motions here from our meeting. There are a couple of changes that I will note as we go through. Motion 1, a donation request was received from the U13A Northeast Eagles team to assist with the cost of hosting provincial tournament at the Jack Byrne Arena from April 1st to the 3rd, 2024. Many of the youth from the town of Torbay will be participating in the tournament. In accordance with the town's donation policy, the committee recommends a donation in the amount of $200 to the Northeast Eagles under 13A hockey team to assist with costs of hosting this provincial tournament. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
There's going to be a bit of a theme with the Northeast Eagles. Motion 2, donation request was received from the Northeast Eagles under 13B hockey team to assist with the cost in attending the provincial tournament being held in Clarenville from April 1st to 3rd, 2024. Again, many of the youth from the town of Torbay will be participating in this tournament. And in accordance with the town's donation policy, the committee recommends a donation in the amount of $200 to the Northeast Eagles under 13B hockey team to assist with the costs of attending this provincial tournament. So moved.
Well, I'm in conflict on that one, so be noted that I'm refraining from voting on it.
Second.
Okay. Noted that the mayor's in conflict. All in favor? Opposed? Carried.
Motion 3 is to do with the Royal Newfoundland Regiment Hockey Tournament. A donation request was received from the Royal Newfoundland Regiment Memorial High School Hockey Tournament the Deputy Director to assist with the cost of hosting the 2024 tournament between April 15th and April 21st. This is the largest youth high school hockey tournament hosted in the province, and many of the youth from town of Torbay will be participating in this tournament. In the motion, you'll see that the amount of $200 was actually quoted, but in actual fact, I will make that change as I go here. In accordance with the town's donation policy, the committee recommends a donation in the amount of $250, not 200, to the Royal Newfoundland Regiment High School Hockey Tournament to assist with the cost of hosting this provincial tournament. So moved.
Second.
Just to add to that, the reason we usually give out the $200, but when we looked at the actual package, the lowest sponsor amount in the bronze is $250. So that's why we made the change there.
Can I ask a question on this one? Is this just for the boys?
No.
This is for the girls as well? Okay, I'm in a conflict, so I'm gonna step back. My daughter plays with the girls' team. So just want to be sure I was thinking it was the boys, and I had to look again, but it's
both
girls.
sides,
So
yeah.
I'll declare a conflict and step out of this one, please.
Okay, all right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
And there was also a late request, a donation request was received from the Northeast Eagles under 15A hockey team to assist with the cost of attending the All Newfoundland Tournament in Grand Falls from April 3rd to the 5th, 2024. In accordance with the town's donation policy, the committee recommends a donation in the amount of $200 to the Northeast Eagles under 15A hockey team to assist with the cost of attending the All Newfoundland Tournament in Grand Falls from April 3rd to the 5th, 2024. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Anybody in conflict on this one? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
And from there on, the minutes are there for anybody's review or questions, unless Councillor Tapper has anything to add. So ends my report.
All right, you got nothing to add, anybody? All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, economic development, tourism, hey, we didn't change the name of that yet. Oh, yes, we did, economic development, tourism, history, and culture. I'm sure we could add a few more words there. Councillor Tapper.
I can't remember the name of it myself.
Yeah, big one.
Anyway, we did meet on the 25th. Unfortunately, Councillor or Deputy Mayor Thorne Goss couldn't make it, so I'll just go through and highlight some of the notes taken. The Killycoast Chamber of Commerce, that's been in the news recently about expanding that. So the Executive Director of the PCSP Chamber is scheduled to meet with the committee on April the 8th. So then myself and Deputy Mayor will brief Council and hopefully arrange a meeting with our Committee of the Whole to explore this further. Garden tourism, that's an annual thing, and we're going to get involved again this year. Recognizing new business opening in the community, we did this some years back, and we're looking at, recognizing new business when they open and present something to them, like a certificate or a plaque. Same way with newcomers into the community, how to reach out for these and welcome the newcomers. We've done that in the past as well. Regional public transit is back on the docket again. And we're hoping to pursue a partnership with other Killycoast communities. And I'm sure that's going to be, I guess, in your mayor's committee meeting, might be on the docket as well. So marketing communications update recycling initiative. We're developing communications plan, which includes mail out of recycling info to every household and some magnets with key info as well. On the History House side, we were successful in getting a funding application approved to celebrate the 75th anniversary of Confederation. And the manager is busy again with the program scheduling and the exhibits for the summer period. So if you have any questions or comments?
Any questions?
I just wanted to ask, where communications is under this committee, again, back to the conversation around community safety, it might be great for us to look for content that the town can share that exists around, inclusion, safe practices, things that we can do. It would be, it's always nice to have a diverse set of content that's there that, shares the town's position and what we want to see and how we function. So, like, we do a lot of things around inclusion, but it's more like, hey, we just raised a flag or we've painted a crosswalk. But is there content that exists that we could, have partners with about here's what to do in a situation or how to help, or did you know, are you aware? So there's some of those things that the gender-based violence course at the St. John's Women's Center had, like maybe we could share that in the community so people could know about if they want to go take that course and learn about it. So there's different things like that. If we could maybe consider that in our theme of community safety work, that's one thing. The other thing is, I know we've done it in the past, but I'd like to ask that we do it again. Just pull out some of the stuff we have about speeding in the community. It's, everyone's in a rush. We're always in a rush to get where we're going. But it's nice to have a consistent, constant reminder. If we do like the snow's starting to melt, kids are going to want to be on their bikes, that kind of thing. The days are getting longer. So if we can pull out and dust off some of the content that we've already had in the past and share and update it, I think it's timely now with the spring coming to start looking at that again. So just a couple of things to add from the communications perspective that we may want to start adding into our communication from the town. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Any other question? Can I make a recommendation, I guess, to the committee or to economic development? We should invite a representative from the Ultra Coast and Phillips Chamber to our business awards. Probably be a good opportunity for them to be able to speak to some of our business owners that are going to be there. And it's not, I'm sure they'll probably welcome the opportunity to be able to do that. That's it. That's all I was going to say.
That's it
And
for
I
me.
encourage members of council to attend those when they come up. And I got a question. Where did something go with our tulips this year? Do you know anything about it?
You ask.
Yeah.
They turned into marigolds.
Marigolds, yeah. It's gonna be a flower of the year.
Weren't in the budget.
Gotta turn it on the bottom first.
No, I didn't boot it up.
There you go.
Okay. So we're gonna go around and have because I'm not 100% sure where all the tulips are. I know they are on a map, but they've all been planted last fall. So we're going to kind of promote those, and we're doing a flower of the year. So I put that order in today. It aligns with Truth and Reconciliation. So I called the company, asked them what's the best orange flower to grow in a northern climate, because a couple of people told me there were some issues with the flower last year. Anyway, that's kind of where that sits.
Okay, all right, thank you. Dandelions are probably the best one. They grow the best. All right, thank you very much. To infrastructure and public works, Councilor.
Thank you, Mayor. All right. Myself and Councillor Goss and our Director of Infrastructure and Public Works met on March 27th at 8:15. The items that we talked about are here in the package. So we chatted about the trail development, the safety lights for the fire department crosswalk, which I have a motion here for. Okay, the motion reads, motion to accept WSP's recommendation to award the installation of the traffic and crosswalk lights at the town office project to Black & McDonald Limited in the amount of $151,787.35, HST included. Approved funding for the project through the Canada Community Building Fund is $197,283. So we have, this is an amount that's within the amount that's budgeted under the Community Building Fund. So there's the motion. So moved.
Second.
Would it seconded? Questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Thank you. Can I ask that this gets added to the package when we get the update? Thank you. There's an update on the sand salt storage shed, the sidewalk construction phase 2. So looking for that information to come in, and we're expecting that at the next committee meeting. The pump house analysis project. So we have another motion here. The scope of work was provided to 4 consultants. And the motion reads, motion to award the pump house analysis project 2024 to Stantec in the amount of $10,206 plus HST. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. This is pump house analysis for Norpan.
No, it's for.
There's too many microphones on.
It's for the Thorns Lane and Tawndale pump houses, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay.
Any questions?
No. That was moved and seconded?
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Thank you, Mayor. There's information there about the community building fund, previous gas tax projects that are planned for this year, and other projects. So unless anyone has questions, I'll just leave it as is. We've all had the package out for a while. The multi-year capital projects are in here. So we're looking at the roadwork project, open space trails, the common generator, stormwater mitigation, water and wastewater projects. So there's information here on that. And the flow meter calculations that, the readings that we get, about 1,400 cubic meters a day. It's great to have that information. We talked about speed coming, and we're expecting a draft of the revised policy. We did have a quite extensive policy, and I remember that being quite cumbersome when we were trying to follow it back when. So Director's been working with his staff and plans to have a draft ready for myself and Councillor Goss to review, and then we're going to send it out to all of council to have a look. But we're really hoping to get this ready for the spring, as people are getting out and speeding is an issue. So we're trying to get that moving as quickly as possible. There's information there about the recycling education and the turnaround on Whitty's Lane. This piece about the Middle 3 Island Pond Road, the draft letter from the CAO is included, and neither member of committee had an issue with the draft as is, but just wanted to reiterate comments again about the municipal plan and the conversations that we're having about growing the community. I know I took a call myself from, I believe, the dad of the gentleman who wrote this letter, and he talked about how residents in that area were willing to put up their own personal money towards, what could be done in that space. So I reached out to the planning department, and the director had advised, under the municipal plan consultation conversation, I sent the information back to say, hey, if anyone in there wants to have a say, now's a great time. Please send the information off to the planning department. But I think it's really important that we have a conversation about what's happening with that space, because there are people living in there. They're living in there year round. Right now, the letter says you're living in there and you don't have the permission to live in there. But is there a risk liability issue? I mean, if we have a major, snow dump like we had a few weeks back, and someone's sick or something's wrong, is there any liability? What does that look like if we're aware? So I think more conversation, more planning, talking to the residents, looking at, what needs to happen. Is there a phased approach? Like, it's really worth having a conversation about what does that look like. So so that was kind of where we left that in the meeting, but I just wanted to bring it back out because it's part planning, part infrastructure and public works conversation. But I think that it's a conversation that needs to be explored and continue. So that was the feedback in the meeting. And then that's about it, Mayor. I don't know if Councillor Goss has anything to add.
Nope, nothing to add, thank you.
Good. All right. Well, then if there aren't any questions, that ends my report. Thank you.
I got a question there about the sidewalk. I just seen, because I understood, I didn't realize, I guess, that the tender had gone out about with regards to the parking spaces over there. So did you hear anything back or whatever? Because I'm under the understanding that
First response we got back from the department was no, that we could not do it. I followed up with the minister. I sent him an email and requested that he reconsider. I didn't hear back from that particular, and that was on, I think, March 8th. I sent that particular communication. Then I was talking to Preston from the Tap House. I know that they had a meeting with the minister themselves to talk about that issue. So I committed to him that day I would follow up with the minister again. I sent another email to the department, to the minister, asking him about that area and reconsider us being able to put some areas in there. I never heard back, but I did make it, I did let the owners of the Tap House know that this project is moving forward, and that, you know, it's either gonna go forward with the original plan that it is, or if the minister allows us to move the sidewalk back in that area, if we can do that.
Yeah, because with this, because I understood that he was open long as the town
Right.
wanted to have a joint meeting and that, so maybe with Easter and whatever. But I think that'd be worth following up on that before that closes.
Well,
If they're going to include that in there, if this is closing on the 5th, right? Because I may need to send out an amendment to the tender.
I understand that, but I mean, they didn't respond, so, Brian?
Yeah.
Yeah, so like I say, we did put it out to the department. They come back, there were safety issues there. So that's the reason they were refusing it, basically. And like the mayor said, he did put it back in. This project in particular, we've got a tight timeline on this. The money has got to be spent before September 30th of this year. So that's the reason we went ahead and put it out to a tender. Like I say, if it comes that minister says that he's going to sign off on it and say that he can put the parking there, we're just going to have to do a change order to the project, which will
Yeah.
increase the cost of the project as well. So.
Yeah, because the same things that they came back for safety issues is over in LMO. It's on the turn and it's on the hill and on the sharp turn. So anyway, I know discussions
I don't
were-
think that's Elmo's road where they got the parking put in there. I think that's or I don't think that's the province's road.
Yeah,
It's Logan Bay's road.
but
It's a little different.
regardless, I know that he was open to discussing it and coming back to the town. That's why he wanted to talk to the mayor about it, so,
Yeah.
Well,
They
we're
could be
open to
gone
discuss
for-
it. All he has to do is answer.
yeah.
Just a question on that, though. I mean, if we're looking at this conversation, the safety has to be figured out and signed off on. That's from the provincial government.
Yeah.
We need to make sure that that's done. So there's a safety analysis that has to happen, and some engineers that sign off and stamp on that. The other piece of it is, if we're putting extra road space on a provincial road, it's one thing for the town residents to absorb the cost of the sidewalk implementation, but for that extra road space and what's happening there, that's the cost of the provincial government. So they need to provide the resources and cash for us if we're gonna make that amendment. I don't think that the taxpayers of Torbay should be footing the cost of expanding that space if we're going to do that in that area. So understanding that we're cost sharing, putting in the sidewalk, that's something that we've all talked about and agreed to. But the actual conversation of adding an extra lane space or asphalt and fill and all the engineering and work that needs to be done on that, I believe that should be a cost of the provincial government because that's their road. So I just want to note that. But if there's any updates on this, then we'll take them through the committee when we have our next committee meeting.
Okay.
Brian?
Yeah, if I hear something else back, I'll let all council know.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay.
Where's it? Okay, thanks. Three things now. The sidewalk issue. So what is the plan of action now? Who's following up on what? We talked about it, and then it just kind of sits. So who's following up to see if we get a response from the minister on it, and under what time frame, I guess, is what I'm asking now, because we'll be
Well,
2 months
I
out.
mean, it was only, what day was it? I sent that Thursday, maybe? Wednesday?
Last week.
It was April 8th, March 8th, first email I sent. And then I followed up last week. So, you know, I can follow up again tomorrow, but
Well,
I don't know.
tomorrow, I was just saying, what's gonna happen? I mean, we're sitting there next meeting comes around too and say,
Yeah.
we didn't hear anything back, so
Well, we gotta
we
move
gotta try to
forward.
keep pressure on somebody somewhere along the way to get an answer one way or the other, and then we know whether or not we can
Yeah.
do the extra work on this, once the tender gets awarded.
So maybe, Brian, you can follow up more with the department and ask them if they had any response from the minister regarding my request.
Yeah, I'm sure the minister's gonna send it back to the department head that I'm dealing with, which, again, he's using the safety and liability rationale. So unless the minister's gonna sign off on it himself, I don't foresee it happening, to be honest with you, but that's just my take on it. And there is a big liability to the town there too if we do it, because if we're providing parking spaces along the road where someone's already been knocked down, they may come back to us as well, so just keep that in mind.
Okay.
So.
But I will follow up.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you. That's the.
That's your
the
question?
end result, yes. Is someone gonna say, yep, let's get an answer one way or the other.
Okay.
The second thing was the trail. When was our last communication on the Forest River Trail to get to the bypass road? It's in process, going to go to Supreme Court with the lawyer, and it was when I was on committee as well. So I'm not asking anything out of turn, I guess, but just wondering what the latest update is on it. Brian, is there any anticipated date when that's going to hit the court, or can we push it to get it there earlier?
Just 1 second now. I'm trying to get you a date of last time correspondence I got back from the solicitor. Yeah, so we're back from the solicitor was mid-March. So everything was with the courts and the documentation was gone into the property owner at that point in time.
Okay, so we don't know what the next time frame is?
I don't have a time frame, but I will get one, definitely.
The last thing on it is the land related to the water treatment plant, the area land that is sitting there by the treatment plant there next to the depot. Are we going to put that out for acquisition soon?
We were expecting information about that to come forward in the next committee meeting. So we did touch on it in the committee conversation, and the director had advised that he would be bringing forward information about that in the next committee meeting. So for that one right now, unless the director has something different to share, my understanding is that committee will have something to talk about around that, the next meeting we have. Is that correct, Brian?
Yes.
Yeah. So I think just if I could circle back to the parking conversation as well on Torbay Road over there. I believe we've had conversations around this table about the idea of a crosswalk, asking that the department allow a crosswalk there. And we do have parking up at Torbay Common. So maybe there's a conversation there around the safety piece that we can, again, maybe in our communications, you know, talk about, hey, did you know there's, you know, parking available, you can get, you know, take the steps down. Beautiful view, take a selfie of yourself at Torbay Harbor in the background, you know, as you're going to the Post Tap House to enjoy a bite to eat. But it's, there are some other things there that we could consider. And we did also had a conversation around this table about adding or asking about adding additional lights in that area because it was noted to be dark. So I know that the director was following up on that as well. So there are a number of things that even if the department does not sign off on extra parking on that part of the road, that we as a municipality can look at, communicate, work on for safe and you know, accessible parking concepts. Director, I see you've got your mic on.
Yeah, I just thought I'd add another update on that. So I have been talking with the project engineer from Transportation Infrastructure as well on this, because he received a call from the business owner over there. So he's looking into it as well. And the lights, they're already in place actually. And I actually sent an email off this morning on the crosswalks for that area, because we're looking at doing one up in that area by the War Memorial and one down towards Lower Street as well, because that's where our trail connection is going to come back across, right?
Yeah.
So that's already in progress as well.
Perfect, thank you for the update.
Okay, thank you.
All right,
Add something in there with regards to the steps. As my understanding, the town can't promote the using of the steps coming down because it can be a liability then to the town if they're not shoveled in the winter and somebody slips and falls on them. They can use them, but we can't say to use the common. And when it did come up before, the common could have some kind of a function on, and we will be saying then would be competition. But the steps is the big thing. If we promote it, the steps need to be shoveled and salted in the winter, because if anybody slips, come back to us, when we talked about that before.
Yeah, we did, yeah. And I was
Yeah.
talking to Councillor Goss on that earlier, I think it was to Councillor Goss. So once the extra piece of sidewalk goes in place, that will be cleared in the wintertime like we clear them now within our schedule. So anybody that wants to
The
leave
steps?
no, the sidewalk.
yes,
So in the
yes.
wintertime, obviously, wouldn't use the steps because it would be
Liability.
uneconomical to shovel that or
Yeah.
plow it or whatever, right? So, but the sidewalk will be there so they can use it, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, thank you. Recreation Community Services, no report there?
No. No, we don't have a report. We didn't have a meeting.
Okay.
Director's is unavailable there, and we'll have one for next.
All right, thank you. Liaison Committees, Atlantic Mayor's Congress, I don't have any updates. Intergovernmental Affairs. I guess we already talked about earlier that we met with MP Thompson, and then we met with representatives from Transport Canada to talk about the water. So it's not really much. Sandy's going to do an update up and send it out on that. Jackburn Regional. Any update?
The partnership financial statements are there, but as I noted before, or when maybe it was at the committee, the partnership, that's just the asset itself, so it's only the building and the depreciation. I just forwarded the financial statements on to Ann, and we did discuss those at some earlier date when I had the drafts, and drafts haven't changed from actuals. So they will be in the next package just for tabling purposes. The third item, I guess, and probably the more somewhat disturbing one is information back from CRA on our appeal from the audit for whether or not we were or Jack Byrne Arena, not us, but whether Jack Byrne was eligible to receive the SERB funding. They stood by their decision and that they consider us a public entity, but we are going to go back and appeal again, and all hope is not lost. Let's put it that way. Right? So I've asked the arena manager to go back and get information from some other arenas, both privately owned and municipally operated as well, just to get some comparatives to find out exactly what they did under those circumstances. I know some places outright didn't apply for grants. Some did, some got it, and some got it under our same circumstance, I understand, but weren't audited by CRA, so we shall see when it all falls out at the end of the day.
Okay.
The latest on it, we were just waiting for the written document from CRA to find out what they based their ruling on, so right now I can't say what the rationale is for it until, once that's in front of us, then we can talk about it a bit more anyway.
All right. Okay,
Quick question.
sure.
The name on the financial statements is Northeast Avalon Arena, a partnership. Shouldn't that be the Jack Byrne legal name? Like, I'm just curious.
This here is the partnership statements. This is the ownership of the building, and maybe it's a good thing that it's listed that that way. Because
Yeah.
this just really refers to, it's got nothing to do with the operations at all, right? This is just the actual asset itself.
Right.
But I'll go back and reconfirm that. It'd be strange that
Yeah, I don't know. I was just reading it, wondering why
it
we're
wouldn't
calling
be
it.
sports and entertainment. It'd be whatever the partnership is under.
Yeah, and it's the first time I've seen Northeast Avalon Arena. It's not language that we've used that I'm aware of.
I've seen it. I've seen it on the original documents for the arena when it was
It
built.
would be for the partnership.
Right?
Okay, interesting.
Because of course Jack Byrne was a big part of getting that built. It wasn't named after him at the time. That never came until after.
Okay, so that could be the legal name.
Okay.
All right, and maybe it's been on financial statements. I never noticed it. I just was looking at it tonight going, oh, that's interesting.
Okay.
Thanks, Mayor.
Northeast Avalon Joint Council.
No report.
Okay. Roland Flink Constabulary. Sandy, were you able to?
Well, I sent an email to you last week, so I'm just waiting, looking for additional information. So
Yeah.
I'm just waiting for you to get back to me,
Okay.
and then I'll make the content.
Okay.
If you have, I can resend you that if you haven't seen it.
No, I seen it, but I couldn't look it up on my phone.
Okay. yeah,
I gotta
that's
go.
fine.
I gotta get on my laptop to see if I can search back for.
When you get back to me, I'll start that conversation.
All right. Torbay Volunteer Fire Department.
Okay, I have no minutes there right now, and as I always say, continue their events, their training, and call answering as someone spoke earlier about the good volunteers over there and dedicated to the community and reinforcing their knowledge and skills every opportunity they get. So,
Right.
other than that, thank you.
Urban Municipalities Committee, we are meeting this weekend in Pasadena. So we got updates coming, right, to our rules procedure that lists all these liaison stuff, our committee structure. We already adopted that, right? We got some updates that we gotta make here. I'll send them along. Anyway, so we're meeting this weekend in Pasadena, so myself, Councilor Pepper, and CEO are going. And we'll report back after that. Just wanted to mention something that I heard at the Avalon Eastern Regional meeting in Clarendon there a few weeks ago. So somebody raised a question, and I've seen this raised on social media before, about seeing the garbage collectors take the recycling and put it in a black bag or throw it in with the regular garbage. That can happen if the recycling is contaminated. Rather than take it and throw it in with the regular recycling, they will put it into a regular bag and put it in with the rest of the garbage. So it's not necessarily that always the contractor or whoever's picking the garbage up is not handling the recycling correctly. If there's something obvious in the bag that shows that the recycling is contaminated, it cannot go in with the rest of the recycling. So that's why they do that. It was interesting. That's one little tidbit that I picked up from that meeting. Anyway, notice the motion. We have none. New business. Councilor Tepper.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention Terry Sanford, former councillor, passed away 2 nights ago. Terry was, his obituary is not published yet, but I was good friends with her family. His daughter Arlene just got back in time for her to say goodbye. But he passed away, but he was one of our first councillors years ago. And a real gentleman. He was a British immigrant, I guess, to Torbay, and carried his English accent fluently with him. But you know, he was a great supporter of mine, because I knew he was on council. When I got first involved, I went to him, and we had some great conversations since then. He was always interested in how the town was doing, and you know. So I just wanted to bring his name forward, and I thank the town. This morning we lowered the flag in his tribute, and like I say, I'm not sure what the arrangements are yet for his funeral, but did you see any, Mary?
He's here now. I'll touch
is
him
it?
when I
Okay.
go. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so again, he was a great leader on council for us, and just a great man overall. Thank you.
Right. Thank you. Councilor Manning passed. Councilor Pollard passed. Councilor Epley.
Thank you, Mayor. First thing I'd like to do is extend well wishes to our good friend, Councillor Debbie Henlon. As we all know, Debbie has been diagnosed with cancer and has been very, very much open about her diagnosis and her journey. Very happy to see that she was home over Easter weekend. And one of her latest things she asked for was for people to share music. Cards was the first conversation, but now she shared that music and song, as it often does with us, and some people have the gift to share it. I don't, but I can by sharing a Spotify link. So it's really nice that she asked for that, and I reached out to her a couple days ago, and I was thinking, what song can I send to Debbie? And my grandfather, who had a very jovial way about him and a big way about him, used to call his friends in town, and he'd turn the Music and Friends song by Sim and I on, and he'd blast it. And they all knew that was Fred Appleby calling to say hello. So I sent it to her, and I listened to the lyrics in it, and it says, you know, when we stand by each other, nothing can stop us. thought it was a great tune to share. So for anyone who's able or interested, you've got a really good fun tune to share, please send it her way. She's certainly welcoming that, and it's helping her with her journey. So just want to share well wishes. She's a very good friend to many of us on the council, and wanted to give her that support. The other thing I wanted to do is I wanted to thank a resident who called me and filled me in about these, I don't know how you pronounce it, I'm not going to get it right, the kits for people when they've had an overdose.
Naloxone.
Thank you. There's training that's offered, and the story was told to me about someone who had come across somebody and they had a kit and it helped save their life. And this is an issue that we have all across the Northeast Avalon. So understanding, you know, even if I had a kit, what to do, what to look for, I have no idea. But apparently there's training that's available to people. Maybe it's something we as a council might want to think about, training our staff and our council members, I don't know. But you can actually take training and understand when and how to use it, and then you can get these kits and have them on you. So one of my good friends lost her son to a very public overdose, Tina Oliviero. I've worked with Tina in the oil and gas industry and traveled with her for years. Amazing friend who's been through a really rough last year in her struggles with what Ben went through. I think it's important that we have a conversation about, you know, this is something that's in the community. If we experience it, how do we safely respond? What would our role be? What do we do? I don't know. But a resident reached out, brought it to my attention, and I thought it would be really good to share this with council. So I wanted to thank the resident for doing that, but I also wanted to mention it to see if there is any action or follow-up. I don't know, but I just wanted to
Actually, there is. Back a couple of weeks ago, well, a few weeks ago now, we did receive a request from the province to be a distribution site for the naloxone kits, which included training.
Yeah.
So I went back to them and said, yes, we agree. We are willing to become a distribution site. We will take the training. So I'm just waiting to hear back from them.
Amazing.
Yeah,
Thanks,
so
Sandy.
that's already in the works.
Awesome. And are we talking about training just for our staff?
Yeah, what happens with the training will be in the staff in distributing the kits.
Right.
You know, who you distribute them to, what needs to be said once they're done. So there's a whole training regime that comes with that.
So is there maybe a further conversation about the town partnering with the Canadian Red Cross or someone about seeing if there's a training opportunity, if there are people in the community that are interested to know as well?
You mean administering the kits?
Yeah.
Yeah, which is different, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I just think maybe a further, deeper dive into that and see what may be there to keep people safe. Thank you.
All right. Councillor Goss.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just like to, it's the time of the year that brings back a lot of fond memories for me, and I'm sure other people, with the Easter tournaments for the hockey and so forth. Again, I can't tell you how much I personally used to look forward to it, so I can imagine the kids that are traveling or staying here at the Jack Burn or even staying in the city. Just wanted to wish them all the luck in the first part and the second part of the week. It's great for the parents, great for the kids, coaches, and I just want to say good luck and just take in every moment of it. It's great memories for everybody.
All right. Deputy Mayor.
I had the condolences in there as well from Mr. Terry Sanford, but is posted in here that the visitation at Calls will be on the April 4th from 11 to 9. A social and celebration of his life will be at St. Nicholas Parish on Friday from 1 to 3. So anyway, he's one of the first councillors, so one of the last, I think, that's left out of that whole group. On another note, I just wanted to say congrats to the under 13B division of Northeast Eagles on winning the goal last week, and more importantly, a big thank you to the coaches and everyone in the league for making the whole league such a success. When you look at the coaches that are involved in that, and it's so easy for parents sometimes, no matter who's volunteering for what sport as a coach or a ref, and some of the things that are being said to them. So a big shout out to all of them. So they're out in Clarenville now, so I got to decide on when I'm here at my phone earlier wondering if they won tonight, so exciting.
Didn't I tell you about that policy not supposed to be using electronic devices?
I know.
right, thank you. And obviously I agree with everything everybody said. Condolences for Mr. Sanford. His wife was a mainstay at the school when I was going there. Her and Mrs. O'Reilly made sure that a lot of kids didn't go hungry when they never had no money. There was always lunch there for you. So great family, and my condolences. I just want to say thank you. Thank you to everybody for the hard work that you put in the last couple of weeks and that you continue to do all the time, staff and council. And thank you to the residents who reach out with their issues and sometimes even compliments for the job that council's doing. They are, I'd say, few and far between, but that's not really true. A lot of people, everybody knows that a lot of times negativity takes on a life of its own over a lot of positivity, and that's our job as members of council. Promote the good things that the town is doing, and staff should be doing that as well. And I want to thank everybody who came to the Easter breakfast with the Easter Bunny, and the staff that worked there. And you know what? The staff that volunteer, because sometimes our staff, they show up to those things and they're there volunteering, not just working as their regular work day. So you know, that's nice to see. And with that, we don't have no questions came in, do we, Ann? All right. Next public council meeting take place Monday. Oh yeah, and I wanted to thank everybody for turning that 1 hour meeting into a 2. And the next public council meeting to take place Monday, April 15th, 2024, 6:30 right here in the Torbay Council Chambers. With that, I would entertain a motion to adjourn, please. Moved and seconded. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. Thank you very much.